welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. That is Nick Wright.
Good morning, everyone. Your dress looks lovely today, Jenna.
Thank you, Nick. That was so nice, since I was going to start with something not as...
Oh, what were you going to start
I was going to tell you that my afternoon yesterday was lovely. Everything was going great. I was happy with my lot in life. And then Nick Wright's lovely wife, Danielle, posts a picture of your daughter doing a 3,000-piece puzzle. Oh. And I looked over at my daughter, who had a crayon like this, going like this.
In the defense of your children, my daughter had the assistance of someone with, I think, a couple master's degrees, someone that is not me. So that was, she had some assistance there. Chris Carter, how are you this morning?
Very good.
No puzzles in the Carter household?
No. All my kids are grown.
All kids are grown and gone. Thank goodness.
Thank you. Did you look up there for a second?
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Let us start this morning. A lot of NFL tidbits to talk about. NFL free agency doesn't start till tomorrow, but why wait till tomorrow when you can go to Denver today?
And talk about another one of Jenna's children, Case Keenum.
I've got a new favorite NFL team, guys.
Okay.
That's apparently what Case Keenum is saying as well. The former Vikings quarterback will reportedly sign with the Broncos. So then you took my line away. What that means is I have a new bandwagon to jump to the back of. Keenum became the Vikings' darling last season after you took him to the NFC title game. He threw for 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last season. Broncos certainly need a shot in the arm. They finished the season 5-11 last year, so Case Keenum at least has 2 fans to start off his days in Denver. CeCe, what's your reaction to Case Keenum signing with the Denver Broncos?
I like the fact that a player like Case, you know, he's been around the league for long enough. He's not new. He's not a young, aspiring player. You know, Case is 30 years old. That's kind of going to be the theme of my show, the ages of the players. But at this point, he kind of took control of his career. He had the best year of his life. Compared to sitting around in some euphoria, he realized, man, I got limitations. All right? The Vikings don't want me as much as I would want them to want me, because his first preference would have been to stay in Minnesota. He was very familiar. They play indoors. They have a tremendous defense. But the Vikings didn't extend the type of faith that John Elway and the Broncos had in trying to sign Case. They didn't make Case a significant offer the way the Broncos did in being aggressive, because the Vikings, I'm sure we'll talk about plenty later in the show, they have their sights on some other quarterbacks. And I don't believe that Zimmer, the coach, and Rick Spielman, the general manager, that they thought Case was that much better than Teddy Bridgewater. Because last year during the season, if you remember, all the stories that were coming out of Minnesota was, Jenna, you were totally upset about the whole thing. Well, when is Case going to get benched? Right. When is Teddy going to get the job? Teddy got healthy. They made Teddy active. They gave him a few reps in practice. They liked that. They gave him a little bit of reps in the game in mop-up duty. But Case, I like he took control. He found someone who was in love with him. That's Denver. And went out there and aggressively they pursued each other. I believe it's a good fit for them. And Denver gets their franchise quarterback without mortgaging their future. They have some high-priced guys. They don't have the salary flexibility that some other teams might have. But getting your quarterback and getting that resolved is a good thing for the Denver Broncos. The only thing is, we don't know who Case is going to be.
And
in 2008.
And his head coach, or his previous head coach, Mike Zimmer, was questioning exactly who Case is going to be as recently as at the NFL Combine. I didn't see this quote when it happened last week, but when I was reading up about this signing, I came across, I think Greg Rosenthal included it on his piece on NFL.com, that Mike Zimmer last week at the Combine said, well, are we going to get the Case of last year or the Case of 2 years ago?
Now, when he said it, it really didn't mean that much. But now that Case is immediately the first day of free agency, he goes to Denver, it means a lot more today in real time than it did then.
Absolutely, because it means that either A, the Vikings didn't extend him a good offer, or maybe didn't extend him any type of significant offer whatsoever.
Or maybe he just saw that they've been looking at Kirk Cousins for the last couple of weeks
and didn't want to wait.
Their number one priority,
and
right?
Didn't want to wait. But the thing is, when we have the pieces of evidence of the things that may or may not have been being whispered in Chris's ear throughout the year about Teddy. Like, whenever Chris says sometimes he has sources and sometimes he has sources, like when it's the Vikings, I think it's the real types of sources as opposed to his Doppler radar for his weather sources. And so I listened to that closely. And then you also see the things Zimmer was saying very openly and publicly. And then you have Case Keenum, a guy who, despite being in the league for almost a decade, for 7-8 years now, has not made significant NFL money ever. He was an undrafted player. He was always a guy that was fighting for a roster spot. And so my guess is this is going to land somewhere around the deal Mike Glennon got, around 3 years, around $45 million, around $20 million guaranteed. Could be a little higher, a little lower, something like that. This is obviously life-changing money, and he goes to a team where unless they draft a quarterback at number 5, which you won't imagine they'll do with this move, he gets to be the unquestioned starter for a team for the first time since he was at the University of Houston setting records. Because Trevor Siemian is now on the trade block. Now, I will say to this case, though. While I'm happy for him, and he's been a great citizen his whole NFL career, he went to a place that's tough for quarterbacks. Not just because every team in that division is outdoors, but how about Joey Bosa twice a year? How about Justin Houston twice a year? How about Khalil Mack twice a year? You have 3 of the premier pass rushers in football that make up 40% of your schedule.
He went to basically the opposite of what he had in Minnesota, which was indoors, which was a system that a lot of quarterbacks could have succeeded in, to a place where he's going to have to be the guy. But here's what stresses me out about Case Keenum. We might as well start early. Yeah. I feel like this, because they didn't go to the Super Bowl, the dialogue of which Case Keenum are we going to see is what we keep talking about. Well, why do we say that about Nick Foles? I know he was okay, then he was great, then he was okay. But we don't say that because he won the Super Bowl.
You would say that about Nick.
If he got as far as...
if he got a contract. If Nick Foles right now, if Nick Foles were a free agent...
if he was a starter.
And he was a starter, it shouldn't stress you out, Jenna. This is Case wants that. Case wants to actually be discussed.
You mean the doubt?
Yeah, because it means, you know, when you doubt people you care about.
Yeah, every player, too, that has a similar resume like that, you love to be able to prove people wrong. And Case this is this first legitimate opportunity for a franchise. Like, it's the first time. So when you haven't made the money, and Nick, that's very, very important. Because money to him was probably the biggest driver. Because whoever he signed with, they were going to be extending some type of faith to him as a starter. But the money lets you know how much faith they have in you. And when you've never had that big contract, you've never had a franchise turn the keys over to you, I believe that's just as important in this as any other thing compared to location, indoors, outdoors. Do they have a good offense? Do they have a good defense?
And I know we're going to talk about the Vikings because they're in the running for Kirk Cousins. They may be in the running for Drew Brees. Chris tried to do a little Viking recruitment on Twitter yesterday regarding Drew Brees. But when I saw this news this morning, because it broke around 2:30 in the morning. So when I woke up about an hour later, I saw this news. I remember what Coach Mangini said, which was we shouldn't phrase it like the Vikings have their choice of 3 quarterbacks, because they don't. They didn't with Case, Bradford, and Bridgewater. Not once you let them all hit free agency.
Right, they could have.
They could have, but once you don't franchise any of them, once you don't lock any of them up early, the Vikings all of a sudden, like, Case is gone now. Like, Case is gone. I don't think they want to go into the year with Sam Bradford as the only guy because of his incredible injury history. So all of a sudden the Vikings, they could be upgrading at quarterback with Kirk Cousins, maybe with the Hail Mary of Drew Brees, but they also, we got to see how this shakes out for them because none of their 3 quarterbacks from last year are under contract.
Let's go back to the Broncos for just a second, and we are going to talk about the Viking side of it. Did they get considerably better? Knowing what we know and don't know about Case Keenum, do you think the Broncos got that much better than what they had last year?
I think he's a better quarterback than Trevor Siemian. Do I think he's a better quarterback than Brock Osweiler? Yes, but they have to put the supporting pieces around. You cannot get Case hit. You have to have a running game. And the wide receivers, man, they got to play better than what they've played in Denver. So it's a lot of pressure on Case, but if they don't support him, man, he'll be just like all the other quarterbacks, even Peyton Manning in his last year where he struggled. You need to support Case. He is not the kind of guy that you can back him up 40 times from the shotgun and pass, and especially given who they're going against in that division, as far as those rushers and everything, man, Case has got to have some support. But Denver, they believe in him. I believe he can be a starter. And being a starter in the AFC, I mean, he's right in the middle of the pack. If he had stayed in the NFC, I mean, what number starter is he in the NFC? If he stays in Minnesota, he's...
Well, he's behind Rodgers, Brees, Wilson, Wentz, Cam, Ryan, Goff, Dak, Jimmy G.
Yeah, he's right there.
So, like, there's 10 names. In the AFC, Once you get past Brady, Big Ben, Luck, and Rivers, then you're at Derek Carr. Then you're at Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean, guys? That there's more
you're in the top 10.
Right. You're instantly in the top 10. Real quick before we move on, what does this mean for Von Miller? Von Miller, who has been sending candygrams to Kirk Cousins. Von Miller, who's been out there heavily recruiting Kirk Cousins. Does he need to say anything to Case?
No, this I knew that wouldn't go well for Vaughn. You know, that recruiting, doing it publicly. But I try to tell you, Vaughn, he's making a lot of money. He's the leader of that team. And when you don't have a marquee quarterback, it lets you know he's the leader of the team.
And let's keep in mind, you said that Case Keenum is going to need weapons. They do have that 5th pick. They can actually use that to get something, and they don't necessarily have to use it on a quarterback now. Coming up, Richard Sherman is buying the Jimmy G hype. But are we? Next on First Things First.